and welcome to the 7 Elements of Wellness podcast. I'm Trish DeMarcus.
And I'm Laci Wall, aka L-Dub.
And we are the creators of the 7 Elements of Wellness lifestyle routine, dedicated to helping you feel good more than you don't.
The 7 Elements of Wellness are spiritual, mental, emotional, relational, nutritional, physical, and financial. And what we found is that we're all living these elements. It's how much attention are we giving each one? Because where your attention goes, your energy flows.
When you combine them all and they flow together, it's powerful. This is personal development combined with an overall wellness program. After over 15 years spent on our own health and wellness journey and trying countless practices and modalities, we discovered it's not woo-woo, it's wellness. Woo-woo. Each one of us is on our own path, and what resonates with one might not resonate with another. The purpose of this podcast is to save you time, money, and energy by bringing you the knowledge and the tools that can help empower you and meet you where you're at.
It's really a journey of self-love, a foundation to help you be the best version of yourself and let go of the version of you that tells you you're not. Learning to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable and just be. Now let's go. Let's see how many days in a row we can flow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Courtney Stull.
I'm Trish DeMarcus.
I'm Laci Wall, aka L-Dub.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this episode, friends.
Yeehaw, you guys. Seriously, hold on to your
hats.
Hold on to your hats.
Today we are meeting with Wes Taylor, who is a horse and human behaviorist.
Yes.
He just can translate somehow these universal laws into the most simple principles that anyone can understand.
So Wes is local to us here down in southern Utah. He has a ranch up in northern Utah. Basically, if you could just say his career is he trains wild horses. But there is a twist to what he does with these beautiful animals. And we've all had an experience to work with him through healing. Through the healing process that he teaches.
He teaches life lessons to you through the horse. It's transformational. When you can't see the things in yourself, you can somehow see it in the horse. Mm-hmm. How we met them, so his wife, Cami Taylor, right, came into L-Dub. They came back, lived in town, and started coming to L-Dub Club and came up and introduced herself and just kind of we became friends with them, and we went to an event at his house, and I just remember all of these little epiphanies showing up and changing the way I thought about certain things, and I knew that other people had to experience this. And so Lace and I decided to put on a 7 Elements event so that other people can experience it, and it's just translating, and it's been really cool to see just his work grow and expand, and the people that he touches. I love watching Wes do his thing in his element.
Yeah, I love Wes. What I love about Wes is what he's taught me about the relationship with myself and with others. Come from someone who has, the nervous system like I do with the fight or flight responses. That's basically what he's shown me about how to regulate your nervous system and what it really means in such a simple way. Like Trish said, that's what it is. It's learning about the nervous system in a very simple way. And what I love about Wes is the lessons that is learned, from himself. It's from a very real place, and the accountability and the way that you can really learn about yourself.
And his story is so inspiring. This interview touched my heart so much because we really get to the depths of how hard life can be when it throws you those curveballs. And he's been at the depths.
He's walked the walk.
Yeah, with a family, and coming out of that and following his divine inspiration and literally just surrendering to that and the beautiful career path and life of his family that he has created and how he is sharing and inspiring others to do the same.
Lace and I, we put his name in for a TED Talk and he got it. And we're so freaking excited for him to be able to just have a bigger platform and to reach more people through that.
Let's get into it with Wes Taylor.
Yeah.
Wes Taylor, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, so great to be with you again.
Yes, again, because I recently got to meet you at one of your events, and I really want to talk about that. We're gonna jump into that in just a minute. But first, you are a horse and human behaviorist.
Yes.
So intriguing to me what that means. Tell us a little bit about your background and your story and how you came to be that.
How do we get to where we are now, right?
Yes.
That is our story.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a deep story, one with a lot of depth, but I've been on a journey as I'm kind of learning through life here. But I was in the kind of the information technology sector, so I was a communications contractor is what my business was. So I was the guy that put in all the fiber optic lines or the satellite TV dishes and made the phones ring and the cable TV system work at apartment buildings or hotels or big commercial buildings. Like I was the guy that made all that stuff work. So that was my world for like 20 years. I had my own business doing that, and I loved it. I loved being in technology because technology was moving so fast in the last 20 years. Things were moving fast.
Yeah.
I really liked being on that front edge, like just in the space that nobody really knew how the internet worked, but everybody knew they wanted the internet. And it was so fun for me to be in the technology sector through that growth of the internet. So I really loved it, but I also, it owned me. It was a space that I was on call 24 hours. I didn't have good management for me with my business. My business absolutely owned me. I didn't own it. And over time, after 20 years of that, it really wore on me. And unbeknownst to myself at the time, but I kind of self-imploded my business in 2008. I just had all of my eggs in one basket, so to speak. And when the housing market and the financial cleansing that a lot of us got to have in the 08-09 period, I was very heavily leveraged on credit and terms with different builders and developers here in the southern Utah area with my business. And anyway, it all got washed up in about a 30-day window. I went from my life is phenomenal, I'm loving everything that's going on, except my business owned me. But in a 30-day period, I went from that to I have zero income. I have zero possibilities in my near future. I don't even know what it looks like. I lost everything.
Wow.
Business, the house, all the toys, all the RVs, all the fun things that we kind of get and have that we enjoy, but I was trying to keep up with the Joneses attitude in a sense. I had the right house in the right neighborhood and the right job titles, and I volunteered at all the right organizations. And I was busy 24/7 doing all the right things. Mm-hmm. Man, I just didn't know how heavy that was until I lost it all. And it all went away in that month of September in 2008. And at the time I was married. Well, I'm still married to my wife, so we're still married. But I remember standing in our driveway and her and I together, and I was just kind of holding her hand. And I'd borrowed a truck to move our stuff out of the house. I'd borrowed a trailer to move the stuff out of the house. We had sold things at a yard sale. The repo man got his share of things. My life was just getting picked apart, just literally just picked apart. And I remember standing there in the driveway, and I was like, gosh, baby, 25 years I've been going for it in business. I've been trying to find happiness and joy and success and, all these things that I thought that I was wanting, I was trying to find with money. That was my mentality. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find it with money. And anyway, the money went away. All the stuff went away. And I was left pretty naked emotionally.
Yeah.
I didn't know, who am I? All my stuff is gone. So I was so attached to all of my stuff. Like that was my identity.
Yeah.
And anyway, that all kind of got taken away, and I needed a place to regroup and restart. And my grandfather had just recently passed away in March of that year. And so the family, his house was available. He was a bachelor on the family ranch that he owned and he had. And I spent all my time as a kid at his house, at Grandpa's house. Mm-hmm. And this house was now available. It was empty. Mm. And I reached out to my dad, and I was like, Dad, I kind of need a place to regroup. I don't know. I'm spun out. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't have a place to live. I don't have any money. I don't have a job.
Yeah.
And he lovingly and graciously is like, well, yeah, let's get you into Grandpa's place and let's get you restarted. And that's kind of where I started this journey with horses, because I moved back into my grandpa's little ranch house, and I was lost, really lost. And anyway, that's where I found the Mustangs, and that's kind of where I started this horse journey.
Wow. I'm just feeling, my heart is just feeling like the heaviness of that, because I think we've all been in a space where we have that moment, right? The moment of like, who am I? What am I doing? And you are the provider for your family. You have how many children do you have?
It was horrible. I mean, I'm thinking back of it too, and that was like my worst nightmare. That was like my man side. My biggest fear was being homeless, being jobless, being penniless. Like that was all of the things that I was the most internally afraid of in life. And now I'm standing in the middle of it and it's all over me. And I honest, it spun me. I mean, I was a trainer. I was a mess. I was completely lost.
Wow. So you had the blessing of your grandpa's ranch. So you were able to relocate your family and move up to this ranch up in, and where is this ranch?
It's in a little town called Fremont, Utah.
Okay.
And nobody's probably going to know where that is unless you do. If you do, you're super proud. You're like, hell yeah, I know where that is. I know where Fremont is. But it's in Wayne County, so we refer to all of our towns as Wayne County because they're all so small. So we try to maybe they know the county. Yeah, so we'll say that.
Yeah.
But it's in kind of southeastern Utah by Richfield, Utah, up in that area, by Fish Lake, Capitol Reef, Torrey.
Okay.
All around up in that area.
Okay, so you moved up to small town ranchland, Utah with your family. What did that look like for you? Because you were in the state of I'm so lost and I don't know what direction to go. You're on this ranch. I'm imagining it's beautiful out in nature. What did that regrouping look like?
It was exhilarating and terrifying all mixed together. Part of me was really relieved to get out of town, get out of the city, you know, and get back to somewhere that I felt was a safe place, which was my grandfather's property. I mean, that was always been my safe place in life. I would always retreat back to my grandpa's and go hang out with him when life was kind of kicking me around. And so the irony to have that property be available for me to live on full time was a blessing for sure. It was a safe space that I knew I was okay there. But I remember getting there and I was talking with my wife again and I was like, honey, I think I want to take 5 years off and figure these horses out. I want to, what does the horse have for me? I just feel this draw to be connected to the horse. And I remember telling her, I was like, I don't know what I want to do going forward in life, but I know I want it. It's something to do with horses. I have no idea what, but it's something to do with horses. So I went and adopted a wild Mustang from the BLM, from right off of the range. Like they gather these horses, they're living out on the wild like the deer and the elk and the antelope, right? And the wild horses are out there. And I adopted one of those horses and brought it home, not knowing what the heck I was going to do, but I just knew there was something there. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, and I didn't know when, but I just knew there was something there. And I just followed that, and I just stuck with that. So I brought this horse home and told my wife, I'm going to take 5 years off to figure me out and to figure these horses out. We can't get any lower than where we're at. We're already at the bottom. We made a crash landing. The plane has landed. There's no wheels on it. The wings are broke off, right?
Yeah.
We're on the ground. We're in bad shape, but we're okay. And what can it hurt? What can it hurt to take 5 years off? I just spent 25 years trying to find happiness, and that didn't work. I'll bet 5 years on finding me. Let me do that. And I literally did. I focused on 5 years of just me trying to understand me. And it literally took me that long to unwind, to deconstruct all of this facade that I kind of built of who I thought I was based on success and image and social engagements and society and, you know, beliefs and all of those things that I'd built myself on had crumbled. And I realized I didn't have a very good foundation of me. And so I that 5 years was to find that foundation.
Wow. And wow, because I know where you're at now. You are inspiring so many people all over the country. What was it about the horse? What was it about the horse that you were so drawn to? I'm going to take 5 years off and find myself, but I'm going to go adopt a wild Mustang from the wild. I don't know that many people just go and do that. So what was it about that?
I'm kind of an extreme guy, I'm learning. Like when something kind of gets me, like I like to go down the rabbit hole, and it has to be something I'm really connected to or drawn to. So I love your question, and thank you for asking this. That this was part of my journey and kind of my discovery of me as Cami and I were taking some self-improvement seminars, classes. Like I was trying to find help to discover who am I. You know, somebody help me define or figure out what do I do with me, because now here I am. And so we were in some self-improvement trainings, and one of them was a guided meditation. And I remember it just clear as ever. And this was my mentality at the point. I was like, guided meditation? Are you kidding me? I have zero interest to sit and stare at a wall and think of nothing. Like, so waste of time, right? I was just beneath me.
Yeah.
But my wife was into it, and she had this draw and this connection, and so I went with her. And we're in this guided meditation, and I settled in with it. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I got really quiet. This is one of the first times in my mind that I really just went internal and was just kind of listening. And during that meditation, I had a very clear message that just resonated in me. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I just somehow this message was just in me. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I nudged my wife, and I said, read this. What does this mean? Like, I'm in this woo-woo meditation you brought me to, so please decipher this secret message, because I have no idea what is this.
Wow.
And what I wrote down was that the Mustangs had a journey for me if I was willing to follow. That was the message.
Wow.
And I just wrote it down. I didn't know what a Mustang, I didn't really know what wild horses were. It was just anyway, I wrote that down. That the Mustangs had a journey for me if I was willing to follow, with emphasis on follow.
Wow.
I wasn't to lead the Mustangs anywhere. I was to follow them. And that sentence, that phrase, I locked onto that. And for 5 years, I followed them. Well, I'm still following the Mustangs, but that original 5 years, that's what kept me from going out and just go and getting a job. Because I tell you, we were hungry. There was times that the needle on the gas tank was empty, so we didn't get to leave town. It's like, nope, we're staying here. We don't have gas to leave. So,
wow.
And I just stayed following the Mustang over and over and over through that time period. And the Mustangs, looking back now, oh my gosh, they led me to the exact people, the exact mentors, the exact information that I needed. They have just led me piece by piece down this journey for the last 15 years. It's just been phenomenal.
Wow. I love this story so much. And I have so many questions. So did you have a background in horses? You said you'd visited your grandpa's ranch. So did you have any experience at all working with a horse? So you said you just went out and got a wild horse. I don't know that many people would know how to load a wild horse onto a trailer, bring it back to a ranch. Did you have experience at all?
My short answer is going to be no, but I do want to clarify a little bit that when we were in St. George and kind of had all the money and the show and the go attitude, I had horses for my kids.
Okay.
And so I was kind of the dad horse guy.
Okay.
Like, all I knew about horses was that I took green stuff from my pocket and I bought green stuff at the feed store and I put that in the front of the horse and it come right out the back of the horse and I picked the green stuff up and put it in the trash can. Like, that's what I knew about horses.
Okay.
But I was just a good horse dad. Because my daughter wanted horses. She wanted to do high school rodeo. She wanted to do those activities with her friends. And I was like, hey, I got some money. Let's do this. And so, we just did that. But I knew nothing.
Okay. Tell me what happened next. I'm just so on the edge of my seat. So you went out, you brought this wild horse home. How did you follow the Mustangs? That's what I want to know.
It was difficult because at the time I was really feeling like how do I train this Mustang, right? How do I get this wild animal? How do we build this partnership? How do we build this relationship? How do we get together to where I can take this horse and go out for a ride? How's this going to be possible? Because right now we're in this corral in this pen and this Mustang, she doesn't even dare look at me. And if I get close, I'm on edge. I'm scared to death. I'm going to get kicked or bit or, I don't know how they're going to react or respond to things. So I'll be honest, we struggled. I struggled hard. I mean, it was ugly. It was frustrating. It's just completely frustrating. But I remember as the more frustrated I got, it kind of forced me into more of a inward look instead of why isn't this working with this horse? I was more like, what am I not understanding? What am I not doing? What am I not getting? I mean, this is a wild horse. Like, they are what they are. How do I adapt? How do I make this work? Mm-hmm. And so I, like everybody else, you YouTube it. YouTube everything. And so I start looking around and I find some trainers that have got a few things and it all helped, but none of it was like the missing link. I didn't find it until a number of years later. So I really struggled. I got hurt.
I was going to say, I know you got into a really severe accident in the first initial years of training these wild horses.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It was a very traumatic, very pivotal point in my life. But I'm working with a horse. At this point, I'm about, 5, 6, 7 years into this life. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I'm not even allowing anybody to refer to me as a horse trainer. No, I'm just a guy trying to figure horses out. I'm not a horse trainer, because a horse trainer to me meant somebody that, this was their career and this is what they did and they were really good at it. And I was like, I'm not worthy of that's not my title.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a guy there in my community, and he was like, hey, West, I've seen you with the horses. And he was a local rancher. He's like, I got to go gather cows, this fall, and I've got this horse that I picked up, and I just need you to put a few rides on her, make sure things are going to be okay, because I got to go do my cowboy thing. And I was like, sure, wow. It was honoring. I was like, gosh, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll come get her, sure. And so I go and pick this horse up and bring it back to the ranch. So to shorten the story up, this horse had some very traumatic PTSD triggers that I didn't know about at the time. I don't think anybody, it was kind of a new thing. So anyway, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm riding this horse in the round pen, and I asked my wife I was like, hey, come and take some pictures. We'll send them to the owner. He can see the progress of what's going on with this horse. It'll be great. And it's always helpful in case something goes wrong. There's somebody there to do something, but I hadn't enough experience to really know what could go wrong. Anyway, I ended up, this horse got triggered into her trauma, and she had a trauma reaction that was very violent. And I got caught up in the middle of that, unbeknownst. I didn't know it was going to happen. She didn't know it was going to happen. It happened. And I ended up taking a severe force impact to the left side of my face from the back of her head. Mm. And it totally just shattered the left side of my face. Underneath my eye is all metal. I've got pins holding my top part of my palette of teeth to my skull. It was all severed and broke loose. Cracked my skull up by my left eye. Knocked my left eye somewhere back in space in my head, totally demolished my nose. I mean, I was a mess.
Wow.
It was all internal. Nothing broke on the outside. There was no cuts or anything, but everything internal was just banged up, smashed. And it took a few ambulance rides. They called for a helicopter, but they couldn't get a helicopter. It was just, okay, get this guy headed to a trauma center.
Wow.
We'll see what we can do. And anyway, I got to the trauma center in Provo, Utah. They put me back together, did a phenomenal job. Laying there in the ICU, though, here's the pivotal moment for me. I'm laying in the ICU, all this hospital equipment, beeping. It's dark, it's quiet, it's whatever, 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometime when you're all alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just there myself. And, I can hear the nurses walking around and a little whispering and quiet. And I'm just laying there going, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing with your life, dude? You just about died. I don't think you should do this. I don't think you're any good at this. All of these stories just started ramping up about you should go back to technology. I mean, fiber optics never killed you. Somebody's
right.
Satellite TV never put you in a hospital. You should take a look at things. I remember laying there, and I remembered that message that I got in that meditation, follow the Mustangs.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. This is my time to decide. Am I in or am I out? And then I got another really clear, I've only had these really clear moments a few times in my life where just this message just burns into me and I can't deny it. But laying there in the hospital at another opportunity that happened again. And the message that I got was, first I had to make a decision. Are you in or out? It was very clear. You have to make a decision. This cannot go unanswered.
Mm-hmm.
And then, dependent on your decision, here's the other message that I got was, the story that you tell about this experience will forever impact your life. Didn't tell me what story to tell, just said the story you tell will impact you the rest of your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you chose in.
I chose in. I did. I laid there and I was like, oh my gosh, this is even scary again. I've got to make another hard life decision. But it was easy. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm doing this. This is who I am. I am building me. I'm not going to build business. I'm not going to build money. I'm building me. This is me. I am this. I am something with these horses. I am something. I didn't know what, though, but I'm just like, there's something. I'm sticking with it. Yes, this is hard. Yes, this happened. I'm in.
Yeah.
And then I had to tell a story because that was the other part. It was like, the story you tell will impact your life.
The story you tell about this incident.
About this incident.
Right.
Yes.
So I don't know that many of us have been in a pivotal moment like that, laying in ICU in the hospital. But I do know about stories we tell. And you've taught me that. You could easily have gone into victim blaming and this horse was out of control and I was doing everything right and...
Not my fault.
It almost killed me. That's not the story you told.
That's not the story I told.
Okay, so what was the story you told, and how is it impacting your life now in your career? Because it's just beautiful.
And as I'm looking back now, Courtney, just sitting here, just you asking me that question, and just for me remembering back, I can see just how pivotal this story really was. At the time, I didn't really know. I just knew I had to tell a story. Mm-hmm. We all do. This is how us humans survive. We tell stories. That's how we operate.
Right.
So I'm laying there needing to formulate this story. And so this is the story that I told myself, that if I wanted to continue this journey working with horses, that I wanted to really get into this. Like if I wanted to get the behind the scenes, the backstage, the under the radar access, like if I really wanted to know how this worked, I would need to make some very serious changes in my brain. I would need to change how I think. I'd need to change how I view the world. I would need to change my emotions. I would need to change my language. I would need to change my behaviors. All of these things, that's like, this has all got to change. And so I'm laying there telling myself this story that I can't walk into a doctor's office and say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, I would like to be more intuitive. I would like a brain surgery to create me to be more intuitive. I would like a brain surgery for me to be softer and more gentle with people, softer and gentle with myself, softer and gentle with my beliefs. I didn't know where I was going to go find a doctor that would be like, oh, great, we can fit you in, tomorrow at noon. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
Yeah, just pop a pill,
Yeah.
give me the surgery.
Yeah. And so I was going through their story and I was like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so here's what can happen. So this is the story. I needed that operation. That's what I told myself. I need this operation for me to be who I'm to be going forward in time. This operation needs to happen. Man can't provide this operation, but the horse can. So I labeled what happened as my brain surgery performed by a horse that took me within millimeters of me losing my life, but only the horse could take me there. Only the horse could perform such an operation and have me come out with this new insight, this new awareness or softness or quietness or this softer part of me. Because I was kind of rough and tough cowboy guy. I'll be honest. I was that guy. I was the hammer. Mm-hmm. That was how I got a lot of things done. And so anyway, the horse performed that operation. And so I'm laying there in the hospital bed recovering from my brain surgery. And I was looking forward and excited to my recovery and getting back into my life. That was the story I told myself. That was 8 years ago.
And so what you have now done is taken that story. You still train wild horses.
Yes.
And this is my understanding and my experience of what I've learned from you and seen that you do. You still train wild horses. Absolutely. That's your passion. That's your career. But you've taken it a step further and really taught others how to create their stories or to recreate their stories.
Yes.
Is that accurate? Tell us what you do, because I don't really know how to explain what you do, but it is phenomenal. It is taking an example of a wild horse that you show to your clients, to an audience. You show the wild horse, and then you are able to allow the human experience to mirror that and to connect with the horse and to compare that to the human experience of trauma. Whoa.
Yeah.
For me, it was, and I brought my husband with me to your event, and he is just kind of opening up his heart and his mind to a lot of this guru stuff.
Yeah. It's a scary journey. I can relate.
Yeah. But the horse and connecting with the horse and visually seeing how you interact with the horse and how you share your experience about changing your story was probably one of the most impactful things that I've ever had, with my husband sitting there right next to me, where we've been quite divided in our journeys. It was so powerful for me. So where do you want to go from here?
Let's start with the how. Yeah, how did this come about, or how did this happen? So me working with the wild horses, after a number of years, I really was like, how is this horse able to go through such a massive transformation? I mean, this horse lived out in the wild. Yeah. Its entire survival is based on fear-driven instincts. Mm-hmm. That's how it survives. There's no cognitive evaluating and slowing down and let's see what really happens. That doesn't happen in nature. It's quick and it's sharp. You react fast. That's how you stay alive.
Yeah.
And everything's based off of fear and survival. So for this wild horse to go from that reality to come into, my training center, to come to me in my space, and now for me to figure out a way to walk this horse from that space, that energy, all the way through to where that horse can be so calm and so confident in the chaos that it's now in, living with humans. And so an example that I use is that I can take that wild horse from that experience of wild through training and through down regulation, just through understanding how the horse operates and the neurochemistry of it. I can then take that same horse and I could literally take that horse and go shopping in Walmart. I mean that. I mean, that's like I could ride that horse in Walmart and go ride the aisles and say hi to everybody, and that horse could just stay managed in his autonomic system, stay calm, stay quiet in the chaos, and just stay relaxed and moving forward, doing whatever we're doing.
Wow.
I was like, how is that possible?
Yeah, how is that possible?
How is that possible?
Wow.
Well, it took me 5 years to really dive in and find that out, but seeing how I was at the ranch and didn't have a lot else to do, and over this 15 years, I just dove in. I was like, well, show me. How does this work?
Yeah.
Let me follow the Mustang. I'm following. Show me. They did. They led me to some key people. One of them was Dr. Stephen Peters. He's one of my mentors, neuroscientist, human neuroscientist. So he understands human neurochemistry, the human brain, the functionality, all of the connections. And so he started to share with me, because he loved horses too, and he really took his research into horses and understanding their brains. So I would glean as much information as I could from him. So any of my neuroscience talk comes from Dr. Steve Peters and his research. But that took me on the journey of how is this possible? So the horse kind of showed me there's this process, this way of doing this. And it's by having kind of intense experiences and then calming, slowing ourselves down, relaxing in that tense spot, allowing our body to relax, allowing our neurochemistry to return back from fight, flight, the cortisol and the adrenaline, to come back to a homeostasis, come back to a space of internal safety, dopamine and serotonin, this parasympathetic nervous system. Mm-hmm. That transition is the magic sauce. Yeah. If you can make that transition, or having somebody kind of coach you and lead you through that transition, that's where we make changes, is under pressure. It's not by avoiding pressure. It's in the pressure. That's where change is made. And so the horses really showed me this. I had got all these wild horses to work through this, and they just kept showing me, hey, slow down, West, slower, West, slower. We need to recover. We need to have this neurochemical reset. And so then I got a plan like, well, if the horse can do this, I've got to be able to do this. If this is possible in a wild animal, it's got to be possible in us humans. It has to be.
Yeah.
And so I searched out to find that in me. And then I started just kind of putting myself and Cammie, my lovely wife, I put her and I through my own horse training. Like, well, if this works for the horses, it's got to work for us. And so we've been this last 5 years really just putting this under pressure and proving it to ourselves. And there's a flow here, and it's so beautiful. It just matches so wonderfully.
I love what you're saying, because you talk about pressure. I think when we think of pressure, for me, when I think of pressure, I think fast, I think push you through it. The way that you do it is to enforce that pressure, but be very patient through the pressure. So the event that I went to where we watched you do this with a horse, you had a wild horse in an arena, and you were in the middle, and you had set up several barriers, kind of like an obstacle course for this horse to get through. I remember you just brought the horse out and said, just go for it. And the horse just literally turned around at the top and was like, no way, and jetted back to the back of the arena. So can you tell us a little bit about what does that look like? How do you put pressure on, but stay patient in order to get the horse to where you want it to go?
That's it. Exactly. How do we do that?
Yeah.
With the horse, so what you saw me doing with the horse was very tuned into my body language and kind of my presentation of how I'm standing. So that's first the physical pressure, my shoulders, my hips, and my toes. That means everything to the horse in how I'm standing. Because I'm a predator. It's a prey animal. So it's just looking at me from an instinctive space. And I can put pressure depending on how I move my shoulders and my hips and my toes. So that was probably some subtleties that you weren't necessarily seeing. But what I kept asking the horse to do was just go take a look at this thing. Just go take a look at this obstacle. You don't have to do it. You don't need to even engage with it. I just need you to have the mental thought that you're going to take a look at it. You're just going to be aware. We're just going to put our awareness. I want the horse's awareness to go to the thing, right? We had a barrel set up and a tarp on the ground, and the horse was going to walk across this tarp.
Yeah.
I would put enough pressure on him that when his attention or his awareness left me and he would look towards or start to engage with the tarp, I would release all pressure, saying, hey, you're on the right track. Be attentive to that thing. And I would just pull back and just soften my stance and allow the horse the time to be now with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm incorporating that into my life, like, okay, what is that? How do I do that? Or so when we find these things that are scary in our life or whatever it is that's happening, we don't have to go accomplish it or take it on or tackle it or take it out or anything. Let's just move our awareness to it and then just pause. Just slow down right there for a minute and be like, what is this really? Like all of our old stories will be just crunching along like, oh, if you do that, you'll die. If you do that, you'll be embarrassed. If you do that, somebody will laugh at you. If you do that, it's out of your comfort zone. You shouldn't do that. You know, just like the horse, run
back.
Take
off, run away.
Run back to that safe spot. But what the horses have shown me is that if we just stay slow and keep our awareness on the thing, whatever that is in our life, whatever the struggle is, just keep some awareness on it and just take a little step and then relax. It's in this relaxing, this slowing down is when our neurochemistry in the horse changes. Mm-hmm. The horse is changing from cautious, guarded, to curious and slightly confident. Those are entirely different neurochemicals, so that feels entirely different in the body. Yeah. When we switch our intent from, oh no, I'm concerned about this thing, to, wow, can I be curious about this thing? That feels different in our body. That's different neurochemistry releases. So these horses just taught me how we could change our neurochemicals based on the stories that we tell. The thoughts that we have will change how we feel in the now moment.
Yeah.
So I just keep slowing that horse down, like, just take a look. Oh, that's good enough. Oh, take another look. Oh, that's good enough. And the horse is just stepping a little closer and a little closer. He's getting more confident. The horse's neurochemistry is changing out of fight, flight, more into rest, relax, more into confidence.
Yeah.
And then as you saw, he was able to walk over and touch and check the tarp out and the barrel, and he was able to make progress by going slow.
Yes, but the key point is that you were his coach. You were there with him every single step of the way. And this is what I noticed, because you're a horse trainer and I'm watching you in an arena. You got your cowboy hat on. You're Mr. Cowboy out there. And it would have, to me, and what I'm familiar with, it would have been pretty easy, I would think, for you to just get like a little whip and be like, come on, get through it. Let's go. Right? Yep. But you were so patient and you were so calm. And I remember that horse just put its foot on the tarp and it like crinkled and it was like, nope. And it just stepped back. And I felt it in my heart because I thought, how many times have I done that? I've put myself in a position, or I have been somewhat forced or presented with an experience, and I put my foot on the tarp and I went, nope, I'm not doing it, because I didn't feel supported. Yeah. I didn't feel safe enough to just put my foot on the tarp and that would just be okay. So honestly, in my life, I've run across the dumb tarp just to get through it. And then my experience on the other side was anxiety. I'm never doing that again, but I did it. So check the box, right? Yep. So talk a little bit about that, because that was probably the most profound thing for me. The difference between forcing the horse through the obstacle course just to get it done and breaking it down into those pieces. There was a point where the horse did walk over the tarp and got to the next part, and I could see the horse starting to panic because there was another obstacle, and I could see the horse like, what do I do? And it was kind of like running in like, kind of in circles. And I remember you were just, it's okay. You're good. Just calm down. Just take a breath and just wait.
Absolutely. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I've done it the other way. I mean, I've pushed the horse through that and been like, hey, just get on the tarp and you'll see that you're safe, right? This is our human story. This is how us humans, like, just do the thing and just see if you like it. It won't be so bad. Just do the thing, right? That's when we're trying to get our belief onto somebody else and not letting them kind of have their own experience or their own journey to get there.
Yeah.
And when that happens, in the case, I learned this from the horses, but if I push the horse through and just like, look, you'll be fine when you get to the other side. Watch, I'll show you. Here, go. And then we get to the other side, the horse is just like you described. anxious, scared, confused, like that whole experience was kind of a brain off experience.
Yeah.
When we're upregulated, when we're stressed and anxious and worried, and we have that, I'm just going to get it, I just got to get through this attitude, we're chemically in a state of mind, we're cortisol and adrenaline. Well, learning doesn't happen with cortisol and adrenaline. Survival happens with cortisol and adrenaline.
Yes.
So do we want to survive through life or do we want to learn through life?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And how many of us are just surviving, right? We are surviving just to get to the next day, the next hour, the next meeting, right?
Yep. So that the neurochemicals with that cortisol and adrenaline, they all have their purpose. But with anything, too much of anything is not a good thing. We need cortisol and adrenaline in our system. Absolutely. We need to have that upregulation when it's time to move and do some things. That's what those neurochemicals are for. But when we're chronically in that state, things will break down over time. And this is where sickness comes in because you don't see a whole lot of wild horses with cancer and all of these diseases that us humans have.
Yeah.
Because the horse sheds this as quick as possible. They want to let that cortisol and adrenaline go because Mother Nature has shown that this is not sustainable. You cannot stay highly stressed and highly worried forever and survive.
Right.
It will break you down.
Right.
So I kind of observed that in watching with the horses that I could push them through those things, but the learning was small. I would have to do it over and over and over. And that's typical in the horse industry. You drill and you drill and you drill and you drill. And if you do it enough times, then it just becomes the normal. And I agree. It does. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. And you can absolutely do that. And many of us live our lives that way. We're just very conditioned to our programming and we just do and do and do and do. And the same drill, the same drill, the same drill. Well, what the horses have shown me and science shows too, dopamine is required for learning. So if we're trying to make any type of a behavior change or a lifestyle change or a belief change, whatever that is, we got to have some dopamine. Dopamine comes in this relaxing, calm, this pause, this slowing down. That's when the dopamine and the serotonin get released. So dopamine rewards behavior and serotonin balances our emotions. And so with the horses, between fear and safety. Us humans, we have a lot of emotions, but we can break them down to fear and safety. That's a common foundation. So taking that horse and going through that same experience that can be stressful and anxiety that we might have to do 100 times before that horse can kind of be okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, what if we did it 2 times really slow, really calm, and just let your neurochemistry be that chemistry of safety? You were right on when you said safety earlier. When the horse can feel safe and be exploratory and seek out and look for the scary thing, and go touch it and go be curious about it. That neurochemistry starts creating a new neural network. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So just allowing that horse to explore, I'm firing neurons of curiosity loops. So this curiosity feeling starts getting rewarded by the dopamine hit because dopamine rewards the behavior. So now the horse is like, wow, it feels good to be curious. What else is out here I can go check out? Now the horse wants to step forward.
Yeah.
That's entirely different than being pushed forward.
Exactly. And aren't we more productive and more efficient when we feel safe?
Yes, and we're more creative. Our intuition can be activated. We can tune into different feelings and messages. So science has proven for us humans that when we're upregulated and in this fight-flight mode, right off of the bat, we lose 33% of our good decision-making capacity. So many of us are running through our day down a third right from when we wake up on our good decision-making capacity. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Getting this horse to where he's engaging in that space all the time, they just become addicted to learning. They want to do more. They want to find kind of my flow, whatever I'm asking them to go and do. And they're just like, yes, please, can we load in this horse trailer? I mean, we'll take a wild horse that's never been handled and been asked to get in a horse trailer. And by the time we kind of run them through my down regulation, the science training, I can walk them over to the horse trailer and just suggest to them to get in. And they're like, okay, feels safe.
Yeah.
Because they're carrying safety on the inside.
Because you've taught them that they're safe.
I've just shown them that safety is inside of them. And there's a big difference.
There's a big difference. Yeah, talk about that. Because a lot of us are codependent, and that's just kind of how we are. We're just codependent people in our relationships, in our marriages, in our partnerships. We're very codependent on our coaches, on our partners. And so I love that you just said that because it's a huge difference. You taught them they're safe. No, I
just showed them that safety is internal.
Yeah.
So getting the horse to find that he's safe in this chaotic environment. And that's just an internal feeling. That's an internal awareness.
Yeah.
But by taking things slow and letting the horse, want to be curious, to investigate the tarp, that creates the internal safety, because the horse is like, I can check this out. I can deal with this. I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right now, if I push the horse through, all of that discussion is gone. Now the horse is in survival mode, brain off, and it'll be like, well, hell yeah, I can run across this tarp.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Scared.
I can just do it.
Anxious. Yeah. I can just do it. I can just go through the motions. Is that what you want? I can just do that. Okay. But I won't be safe.
Okay. And I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here, because I remember after your event where I watched this horse in this process, I turned to my husband and I said, this is kind of like our marriage. And he looked at me and he said, I was kind of thinking that too.
Yeah.
And we just had this moment. And how many times have we maybe missed the mark in our relationship where I've tried to explain, this is how I feel, and him saying, well, I don't understand why you feel that way. And we're missing it, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment, because we were able to watch you work with this horse, I said to him, I'm the horse, honey. I'm the horse. Because my husband is high adrenaline. He's an ice climber, a rock climber. He rides dirt bikes and skis, and not just skis down the hill, like ski jumps. And he wants me to share that with him. I'm not so good at that kind of stuff. And that's just kind of a surface, there's also the emotional stuff, right? The emotional experiences that we have with it too. But I remember saying that to him, this is me. I am the horse. And so watching you simplify that and break it down into an experience where we are outside of ourselves, I felt so connected to that horse. I was like, I get it. I know what that horse is feeling. Oh, you don't need to go on that tarp. Good job. I was really connecting. So what that taught me was my safety didn't come from my husband. It came from me. And I have that visual in my head now of this horse. So every time I feel some pressure or some force to do something I may not be comfortable with, I literally have this visual of that horse slowly walking across the tarp and Wes Taylor saying, good job, you did it. I'm serious.
You didn't die, right?
You didn't die, right? And then I feel really confident now because it was such a simple visual in my head that I could even actually say to my husband or to anybody, I'm good. I'm good right now. Let me just breathe.
Yep.
I didn't have that before. I just kind of lived my life trying to please everybody else. So is there anything about that you'd like to touch upon, just relationships or?
First, let me just kind of talk why I think it's so connecting for somebody like yourself that you can watch this thing that I'm doing with the horse, and why is it so connecting? How is it that you can just kind of morph right into it and be like, I am the horse. I could see myself as that horse. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, how is that possible? Because I've asked myself this question in working with the horses, and I've asked, how is it that people resonate with the horse so easily, as I've had people around the horses? And this is my thought. This is not science. This is just Wes Taylor, the guy talking. But the horse's prefrontal cortex is extremely small compared to our humans. So our humans may be like the size of our fist, and the horse is the size of our pinky. So that's kind of the comparison. So the ability for that horse to have an ego-type connection with a human is like non-existent.
Okay.
Now, as humans, when we interact with each other, right off of the bat, that's kind of typically our operation is we're going to have this egoic connection. We're going to shake hands, we're going to agree on our distance, we're going to stay apart, or we're going to hug. This is all this is our social negotiations of I'm letting you know how open or how closed I am on things, or what do we talk about, what we don't talk about. That's all our ego kind of checking back and forth. I want her to think this of me, so I'm going to say this, and then you're thinking, well, I want him to think this, and so my ego. This all happens subconsciously, right? We're not actually having those thoughts, but our subconscious is.
Yeah.
Well, that subconscious, that ego part doesn't exist in the horse. So when us humans are looking at the horse, and that ego tries to connect, there's nothing there. And so the ego just has to be like, oh, how about if I just take a back seat for a moment? Because there's no ego to connect with the horse. And I think that is just magic. That's touching to the human soul, to me.
Yeah. It's like pure empathy.
It's just this connection, this awareness. It's just like, I can see that I am that horse, because a lot of our system is the same. Our autonomic systems are exactly the same. Fight, flight, all of that. We all have those same instinctive behaviors. So to connect with the horse and to feel that, that's what I feel like it resonates in there. So that's the gift that I see that the horse brings to humanity. I mean, why else would Mother Nature leave this door open in the horse's system for man to enter? Like, right? That wasn't left there just because. It wasn't a glitch in nature. Like, it was there on purpose. It's real. I've accessed it. I've opened that door. I've spent thousands of hours peeking in the closets of the horse's mind of what's in here. How does this work? They're all of those doors are there for a reason. And so it's just really shown a space of where we can learn from the horse. And when we can start to see our other human relationships more in that perspective, less ego, more soul, more spirit, that's when we can start to have that empathetic connection with our partners. We can stop relying on them for our safety, and we can really start making that individual our self. When we find our self safety, wow, that's empowering. That's worth finding. That's what I've been finding in me for the last 15 years is this internal sense of safety of self. And the more I find that, the more I'm able to, share and talk and feel okay to do that. Because there was a lot of years, Courtney, at the ranch, I didn't talk to people. I mean, I was in isolation for a reason.
Yeah.
I needed my time out.
Well, and you were the horse too.
Absolutely.
You needed to very slowly go through that process yourself.
It was painful too. Oh, it was so painful.
And that's a lot of years.
It was. But it was also very rewarding at the same time. I mean, I put the work in to get those results, but I just kept finding my way forward.
Yeah. And what a beautiful, beautiful thing for you to listen to that message. This is such a gift that you have, that you are changing lives, not only the lives of these beautiful animals, but these beautiful humans.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's so fun for me to, like before you all got there, and I knew which horse I was going to kind of use, and I was kind of hanging out, and I was just like, his name is Cuz. And I was just like, Cuz, isn't this cool that we can talk to all these humans today?
Yeah.
Like, this is just kind of my energetic feeling. Like, I don't know what we're going to say. I don't know what the real message is going to be. I just know that it'll work out. And he's just this sentient, wild being that can't do good or can't do bad. He just is there to work with. Mm-hmm. And wow, what a beautiful experience he put on for all of us, that he and I could kind of co-facilitate that. Yeah. Yeah, that's the relationship I want to have with my wife. How can I have this same feeling that I'm feeling with this horse, just this connectivity, this internal sense of safety? We're both separate, but yet together we're so much more. But separate, we're everything. Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Yeah. It's kind of like that interdependence. I'm okay on my own. I'm also beautiful and amazing with you. And it's just such a complete feeling.
And this is new for Cammie and I to kind of have this safety being separate. We've been together so long. We've been together for 35 years. We often kid each other that we're on our fourth marriage and never been divorced because we've been through so many changes with each other. But we're just kind of now starting to break apart that codependency like you talked about, because that's very real in a relationship and it has value. Mm-hmm. But it also, I want to have my own space I'm standing on, and I want to see her standing in her own space. And that's just beautiful. But then together we can stand in that space. That's where we're at now. We're exploring that.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful. How do we connect with you? How do we get in touch with you, whether we want a horse to be worked with or our own human to be worked with?
Sure. I'm on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Wes Taylor. You just search that up. You'll find me. You can do a Google search. You'll get to my website. But the website is westtaylor.net. And that's West, like the direction, W-E-S-T. Mm-hmm. That's my first name. So, find out me that way. But really to work with me or to engage or do anything, I prefer one-on-one conversations. So please reach out. And what you'll find is I want to set up a Zoom call. I want to sit down and be face-to-face. I want to have some human interaction. I want to talk and feel. And let's see what I'm doing and see what you're doing and see where we want to go together. How can I help? What can we do?
Beautiful.
I'll just say, too, and my wife and I we're adding and doing online coaching to where we have this story experience and talking through all of this that we offer in our coaching program. So if that's something that people are looking for, and that's what I'd want to sit down and talk about. I mean, those are some of the things that we can offer is some one-on-one coaching back and forth, how I can share kind of what science has done and the horse has done and what we could do together.
It's just a beautiful way to reach people in a little bit more of a simplistic form and really firing up that need for safety and the understanding. It's such a beautiful new way and a new approach to healing.
The question of, am I safe? That's what I've held with the Mustangs since I've been working with them. I kind of found that, am I safe? That's what they're asking constantly. So when we can have that neurochemical feeling of safety, we can do anything.
Yeah. Amazing.
Watch out.
Yeah, watch out.
Watch out.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank
Love
you.
it.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Hey, we would love to connect with you. We believe that community and relationships are a vital element. And when you're doing the work, sometimes it can feel lonely. It doesn't have to be. You can join us on our 7 Elements of Wellness private Facebook group. This is a group where you'll get ideas, be able to ask questions, and find the support of a like-minded community. You can also find us on Instagram as 7 Elements of Wellness. This is where you'll find out about upcoming events, look for inspiration, motivational quotes, and a lot of shares.
Make sure to check out our website at 7elementsofwellness.com. Here you can learn more about our mission and connect with our sponsors. You can purchase merchandise and get the latest on local and live streamed events.
You guys down for a challenge?
We got you covered. Head over to the website for all your challenge info, purchase a lifestyle kit, or download your free checklist.
If you'd like to create your own 7 Elements of Wellness community where you live, reach out to us. We'd love to help you get it started.
The 7 Elements of Wellness podcast is created and produced entirely by volunteers who are passionate about sharing this message and assisting you on your journey to feel good more than you don't. If you would like to contribute to helping us continue to bring amazing content through this podcast and community events, we would love your support. You can find us on Venmo under our business account at Life Integrated. Any donation is so greatly appreciated, and we thank you so much.